good evening. I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And as many of you know, and even if you don't know, Harlem Network News is a media platform. We started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. Our mission then and our mission now is to assure that Harlem and the Harlems of the world are informed, engaged, and called to action. Very, very critical, particularly at such a time as this, critical that we tell our own story. In keeping with that, we have a very, very special guest that I've known for a long time that is the epitome of that. And that is in the person of Melvin McCray. He is a journalist, a photographer, a filmmaker, and an educator, all of those. So when we say is media the message or is the message the media, we're talking about Melvin and very community minded for sure. So without further ado, Melvin, if you would just introduce yourself and share with our audience who you are and whose you are and what this journey has been. And then we'll get to the great event you have coming. So thank you so much, Melvin.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be with you. As you said, we go back a long way. Um, I guess we first met at mutual friend's house, and then we worked together at ABC News, and so I was there at ABC News World News Tonight with Peter Jennings for 28 years. In addition, I was teaching part-time at the Columbia Journalism School. I did that for 12 years. I was teaching broadcast journalism. And I kept realizing that, there were people in the community, Brooklyn, Harlem, Bronx, that were not getting these digital media storytelling skills. And it was okay. I really enjoyed teaching at the journalism school, but I really wanted to share some of these skills with people in the community so that they could tell their own stories. And so I started the digital media training program and joined with a nonprofit already based in Harlem called the Board for the Education of People of African Ancestry, which was founded by Dr. Adelaide Sanford. And Dr. Sanford, I must admit, is going to be 100 years old on November 27th. I spoke with her the other day, and she is sharp as a tack. I mean, matter of fact, she's working on her second book. So, but it was really wonderful to join with a group of people who had shared interests, and their home base is the John Henry Clark House, which is 286 Convent Avenue at 141st Street. And so it's based in Harlem and strategically in Community District 9. So when I joined with them, that put me in the realm of possibility of getting grants from Columbia University. Columbia University was starting back in 2013, was starting to build this new campus, this Manhattanville campus. And Community District 9 had them sign a community benefits agreement, set aside $76 million to benefit, to go to nonprofits in Community District 9, as well as a facilities access agreement, which allowed nonprofits in the community to utilize the facilities of Columbia University. So that was perfect. So we've been running these programs, teaching photography, journalism, video production, oral history to people in the community. And initially, back in 2013, we started out teaching it to high school students, and we did a program at the Riverside Church. It was a Friday night program, and we would essentially get together with a group of high schoolers who were mostly from the Grant Housing Projects, and
Love it. I love it.
we taught them video production, and we entered a competition in 2014 called the White House Student Film Festival. It was something that Obama had started, President Barack Obama, and it was open to students K through 12, and it was you submit a 3-minute film on a particular theme. And so we submitted it, and we won an honorable mention in 2014, got a nice certificate, and then we resubmitted another project in 2015, and lo and behold, we won. We were among 30 winners from around the country, and we were able to bring 4 students to the White House ceremony. Believe it or not, in the East Room, which is no longer exists.
Oh, whoa.
Long live the East Room, right? It's been raised by our current president for a ballroom. At any rate, we were in the East Room, and believe it or not, they screened all. I think it was maybe 15 projects from around the country, 3 minutes apiece. And Barack Obama opened up the ceremony. So he came out and he spoke for about 10, 15 minutes. And then it was, taken over by an MC, and they screened the rest of them. And it was a 2-day affair. And believe it or not, we submitted the next year. And the next year, it was a group from A. Philip Randolph High School that I was working with. And they said, well, we want to go to the White House too. And I said, well, if, the president has a White House Student Film Festival, we'll enter. And um, the theme that year, the previous year was mentorship in 2015. 2016, the theme was a girl's right to an education. I think it was something that Michelle Obama was championing. And so we submitted another project, and lo and behold, we won again. And so we took a group from A. Philip Randolph to the White House. So, but since then, we've branched off and we've been working with adults as well. We did a couple of programs with the Fortune Society, which is a prison justice advocacy group, and also they have a reentry program. And so we did a couple of programs with them. One was photography, one was video journalism, one was iPhone videography, iPhone photography. This is working with adults. So we've been, working in the Harlem community for quite a while, since 2013. And all along, we've been interviewing people who live and work in Harlem, because I didn't want to teach video production in a vacuum. I said, well, we need to do a project. And the project was an oral history project that we call Harlem Through My Eyes. And at this point, we've interviewed over 50 people who live and work in Harlem, the most famous being Harry Belafonte. But artists, educators, ministers, um, you name it, historians. And what we're doing now, that will coincide with the 100th anniversary of the Harlem Renaissance, is we're putting this all together in a project that will have 4 components. One, there's a book project in which we're creating this a book called Harlem Through My Eyes, narratives from the Mecca of Black America. Um, so it's a book project that we're shopping around the publishers at the moment. And then there's a documentary project called Harlem Through My Eyes. And there is an exhibit that we're planning which will be photography. It's a multimedia exhibit. It'll be photography. It'll be video inserts, video installations, and we're planning to do a community outreach. And so we're calling it the Family History Community Workshop, in which we'll be inviting people in the community to tell their family history. And the outcome of that will be added to our multimedia exhibit. Um, so that's the big event coming up on this Saturday, November 1st, 1 to 3 p.m. It's the Family History Community Workshop, in which we're going to do three things. One, we're going to show a 20-minute excerpt of the Harlem Through My Eyes documentary. Two, we're going to invite people in the community to bring family photos of their ancestors, their elders, significant people in their families, and we're going to project them on the screen and have them talk about who those people are and how they are significant in their family histories. And the third thing we're going to do is invite people to apply to a 8-session workshop, a Saturday workshop beginning in December at Columbia University, in which I will teach them how to create family history photo books and short documentaries. And the reason why we're doing that is because we really want to preserve family histories, and we want to do it in a way that has longevity. So, family history photo books and short documentaries can be passed on to the next generation and can be archived at local community cultural institutions like museums, libraries, etc. Um, so 100 years from now, your family history will be a part of that archive. So it's going to be at the Lee C. Bollinger Forum Auditorium, which is located at 605 West 125th Street. That's 125th Street and the corner of Broadway. It's the Manhattanville campus of Columbia University, and it's that building on the corner. It's a sort of a triangular looking building,
Out of glass.
out of glass.
Yes.
And well, actually, this one is part glass and part concrete.
Oh, okay.
Um, and it's right on the corner of 125th Street and Broadway. And it's going to be in the auditorium. And we're asking people to RSVP so their name can be on the list. And you can do that by going to harlemeyes.com. That's Harlem Eyes, EYES.com, or by calling 917-748-4122. And we'll put your name on the list. And it's this coming Saturday, November 1st, 1 to 3 p.m. at the Lee C. Bollinger Forum Auditorium. Hope to see a lot of people there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you who just joined, I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network, and we have a very, very special guest with us today in the person of Melvin McCray, journalist, photographer, educator, filmmaker, and he just shared with us really a whole lot about his great project and event coming up on Saturday, and a little bit about his background and the things he's done. But one of the things that I love, and before I even say what I love, I just want to thank Melvin McCray on air, because we did meet many years ago at a friend's party, another filmmaker friend. And, we're chatting and we're talking, and somebody said, oh, Terri Wisdom, she's an editor. And I think maybe at the time I was working at WPX, I was always PIX, I was always like freelance. And Melvin was one of those, speaking of truth to power people, who once he found out I was an editor, he said, well, come down tomorrow. And I came down tomorrow, And by the next day, I was working right in network news with Mel. So I have to thank you. I can't thank you enough for that. And as people of color, particularly in this film and media world, and it has changed, but not to the extreme that it should. That's what we have to do with one another. We have to reach out. You got to hold the door open. You got to bring the people in, and really, that's how we need to operate to move forward. And I'm so just impressed, and it's a kindred spirit thing that you've been doing this media training. It's very, very critical and very, very important. And education and media, I really started my career at the Children's Television Workshop, which was the pinnacle of education. And it was there that I found out about the WNET Film and Television Training School. And I was a part of that, which was a training school that took us from still photography straight through to video. It was a year-long project. And there were stipends, and it was just an amazing project. And then I was also part of community film workshop. So these kinds of things are very, very important. And it's in keeping with the spirit of Harlem Network News that we be able to tell our own stories, document our history. So the work you're doing is so important. And then what I love about interviewing people, though I know Melvin and I'm hearing things from afar, but every time that I interview anyone, whether I know them well or not, I always learn something that I didn't know. And that's one of the reasons that Harlem Network does this, because there are many things coming in our community that we don't know about. I'm a former member of Community Board 10. I lived in Community Board 9 for a long time. I think even in 2013, I was in Community Board 9. But I'm just finding out about this great, great situation. And happy early birthday, to our Adelaide Sanford. I mean, amazing, amazing. So I think that without further ado, because we're going to come back to Melvin, and obviously you're a pro at this because you ran it all down. Didn't leave anything, no stone unturned. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Melvin so he can just share, it's a clip, a promo about what's coming up, and a little bit so you can understand, visual pictures, 1,000 words. So Melvin, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you will be able to go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Okay, so I find it always interesting to put together a video because you can explain things, but it's so much easier when you have a promotional video to be able to explain exactly what's going to happen on November 1st and why people should come out. So I'm going to play this. I think it's a minute 50 seconds.
Ever sift through your precious photographs and want to share them with your family and friends and tell the incredible stories that go along with them? Don't worry, we'll show you how. Bring a few of your cherished photos to the Family History Community Workshop at Columbia University's Lee C. Bollinger Forum Auditorium on Saturday, November 1st at 1 p.m. We'll project the images on the screen and discuss your loved one's role in your family story. We'll show you how to digitize your photographs, interview your family members, and create family history photo books and short documentaries. You can apply for a seat in our free 8-session Saturday workshop that starts in December. We'll also screen a 20-minute segment of the Harlem Through My Eyes documentary featuring activist, singer Harry Belafonte, artist, educator Betty Blayton, journalist Herb Boyd, housing activist Ellen Baxter, State Assemblyman Herman Denny Farrell, producer Vi Higginson, artist Guy Woodard, actress Anna Maria Horsford, and many others, known and unknown, who have shaped our community. Please join us as we save our family stories and save Harlem history. Saturday, November 1st at 1 p.m. at Columbia University's Lee C. Bollinger Forum Auditorium, 605 West 125th Street and Broadway. Register today. Ever sift
That's
through
the
your
promo.
precious...
Right, okay.
And there is one other thing.
Okay, want to share one other thing, Melvin?
Yeah, I believe there is a poster.
Okay.
There we go. Let's see. So on this poster, you can click the QR code with your phone,
Excellent.
and it has my number, and it has the link to the it basically has the link that you can RSVP. It's harlemeyes.com.
All right. Okay.
So that's pretty much it. I mean,
Okay. Did you put up the poster for us?
yeah, the poster's up now.
Okay. I don't think we're seeing the poster.
That's interesting.
The video. Yeah.
Let's try again.
Okay.
How's that?
There we have the poster, and this is Harlem Network News. This is the poster, the flyer for the event that is coming up on this Saturday, November 1st. I believe it starts at 1. It's at Columbia. The doors open at 12:30, and it is at the Columbia University site right there on 125th. But we're just giving you a minute so that you can scan this QR code and the phone number to call, if you would repeat that again, Melvin.
Yes, that's 917-748-4122.
Okay. All right. Repeat it again, just so folks get it.
Sure. 917-748-4122, or go to harlemeyes.com. That's harlemeyes.com. And you can RSVP and have your name on a list for this Saturday, November 1st, 1 to 3 p.m. at the Lee C. Bollinger Forum Auditorium at Columbia University's Manhattanville campus, 605 West 125th Street, right on the corner of 125th Street and Broadway.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Melvin. And we're going to stop the screen share. I'm going to reclaim my hostship, Harlem Network News, and just amazing. With all the things that we have going on in the world right now, from our mayoral race to what's going on with the government shutdown to the potential of the SNAP program being canceled as of November 1st. It is extremely inspiring and uplifting to hear about the work that you're doing, us telling our own stories. And one of the reasons that Harlem Network News is so important, and other Black and ethnic media is so important, is a lot of times mainstream media doesn't cover our stories, or if they do, they don't really get it right. And news and information is so important right now. So the more of our community that is trained, that is another arm of our voice, that is engagement, upliftment, and hope. Wonderful that you've been dealing with the high school students. Wonderful that you've been dealing with adults, seniors, also the formerly incarcerated. I mean, this is very critical because our voices matter. And one of the things that you can do is to just shut down people's voices. That's another form of just keeping a community that has suffered great disparities. And then the other thing that was so important was what you said in terms of Columbia University and them having to use funds to the community, as they have really, I don't think the word is eminent domain, but taken over a lot of spaces in the community. So it's very important that there's a give back. And, you know, I would take it to another level. It's also very important that more of our community attends Columbia University, you know, that there be some special circumstances there. So thank you for sharing that information. I know that's another whole show, but it's important. So if you would just share a little bit more, and we're going to close. We don't want to be too long, but just about your background, you know, how you came into this seat of journalism, photography, you know, filmmaking and education. Because I think that knowledge is power, and it's really important as our community sees someone that they understand what the process was. So maybe they can do it too. And everybody's doing it too. Thank you. So
Well, so when I graduated from college, I got a job as a reporter at Time Magazine. And, you know, I was suddenly thrust into this media landscape. And it's funny, I was I was on the editorial side, but I always wanted to be a photographer. And I sort of rubbed shoulders with some of these great photographers at Time Life. Gordon Parks, Neil Leifer, Walter Yost, Albert Eisenstadt. But you know, not I didn't necessarily work directly with them because I was a reporter, but you know, I certainly hung out as much as I could, you know, with them, and I got to know Gordon Parks pretty well. And but you know, I pursued my photography and got a number of photographs published. I think my first photograph that I got published was of Chester Higgins, the great photographer. It's interesting. He was out on strike and he was selling a Egyptian-based board game, and I photographed him at Cleopatra's Needle in Central Park, and it ran in People magazine.
nice.
And I think the second one I got published was of Sun Ra. Uh, upon his passing, they did an obit and
On his
they
flow.
published my photographs of Sun Ra, who I got to know pretty well. After he gave a concert at my college, I got to know him well. And, you know, I pursued the photography, and I couldn't really see a way clear to make a living as a photographer because I didn't have enough experience. But I guess it was 1976, I purchased a Sony Portapack, which was the early portable video cameras. It was black and white, reel to reel Sony Portapack. And I ended up making a documentary on black male female relations in a reaction to the play For Colored Girls by Ntozake Shange. And I basically had a panel discussion where I had two of the actresses from the play come in and speak, and I had a number of other people on the panel, including Abiodun Oyewole,
Right. Yes.
as well as, and the moderator was Frances Rogers Rose, who just passed away recently. She was a lecturer at Princeton University at the time. Um, and who else did I have? John and Tamu Best from Minnesink.
Wow. Oh, John Best.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Valid.
interesting panel discussion to say the least. I won't go into all the details, but it got very heated. And I put together a documentary and sent it to the American Film Institute, and they awarded me with a grant of $10,000. This is back in 1979 money, which went a long way. So that sort of jump-started my career in television. And I did a lot of freelance video for about 3 years. And then the grants started to dry up. Ronald Reagan came in and grants were cut, sort of familiar to what's going on now. And I realized I really needed to get some full-time employment. So I applied for a job at ABC News. And they didn't have any producer openings, but they had an editing opening. I said, well, I can edit. So I got a job in 1981 at ABC, and eventually got on to World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. And so um, that was a really enriching experience as far as learning how to tell stories. And it's a heady experience too, because the stories you worked on were seen by, at that time, 15 million people around the country. They don't have that viewership anymore. Everything is sort of stratified. But back then, you had a huge audience, and it was, very influential. It really was able to sway opinions. So that's pretty much how I got into the business. And I retired in '09 and started the nonprofit in 2013. And we happened to be in Harlem. And I realized that, it would be really interesting to interview some of the people who live and work in Harlem and record their stories as we're training young people how to do video production. And that's pretty much how this started. And I didn't realize it at the time, but there was an intergenerational kind of aspect to it that was really interesting to have Harry Belafonte. So when we interviewed him, I had a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old from my digital media training program, and I also had a 20-something-year-old from one of the students from Columbia Journalism School interview him. Plus, I interviewed him, so we really we got the full effect of Mr. B. I mean, Harry Belafonte is just what a national treasure he was, and he was so generous with his time, and it's just phenomenal. And it reveals some things about him that I never knew. I didn't know he was suffered from dyslexia, and that he mentioned, interestingly enough, the 16-year-old who interviewed him also suffered from dyslexia. And so he said, well, not to worry, when you have this deficiency, you actually make it up with another talent. So you have to find out what that talent is. And for him, he had this photographic memory. So he was able to memorize, Belafonte was able to memorize his lines. So this 16-year-old was like, wow, you know. So it was an interesting interaction, and now I'm putting it all together in book form and documentary form and exhibit form, and now community outreach form. So we get people to really treasure their family histories and record it in a way that can be passed on easily. I mean, it's not easy. You can pass on a shoebox full of photographs, but you don't necessarily have the stories with them. So this family history photo book, you get the photographs, you get the stories, and you can pass them on. And that's what, we want to make sure we preserve our histories, and
that we're not.
nobody better to do it than us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Melvin. And I'm so glad to reconnect with you. And this is the first time that we're seeing each other in a really long time. And we're seeing each other on air. So that's very, very befitting. And there's a lot of kindred spirit between what you're doing and, the things that I'm interested in doing. So this is all great. And Harlem Network News, I will be there at the event on Saturday, and I'm hoping I'm going to put my name down so I can share my family photo. I'm going to cover the event, not live, but I'm going to cover some of the event. Hopefully, if it's okay with Melvin. and would love to participate in the 8-week session because I think it's really critical. And one of the things, especially in media at this time, I mean, media is moving faster than it ever has. You know, it's moving faster than it ever has. When I started out, I was a film editor and I worked at NBC as a film editor. And then NBC crossed over to video, and I knew I didn't have seniority, so I was a permanent employee. So I just, set out in, and that was the first place I worked after Children's Television Workshop. But then I set out and was just freelance everywhere, and then came back to NBC, did video training, then went to ABC. But ever since, I guess you could say COVID or that kind of time, technology has really taken off. In a period of time, we got cell phones, we got smartphones, we got Zoom, you know.
And we got Harlem Network News.
Yeah. So, and one of the great things about this technology is because technology has gotten down to a point where your cell phone, if you got an iPhone 17 plus or whatever, you got great quality. You were talking about editing on the cell phone. And prior to this, technical revolution, they had industrial revolution, we're in the technical revolution. So prior to this, it would have been very difficult for me to do a Harlem Network News because I would have needed a lot of money, big studio. I still need a lot of money, but to do the things we're doing. But this is a very significant thing, significant, especially at a time where they're trying to ban books and can't say this, can't say that. We got to tell our own stories. So I appreciate you greatly. And there are no coincidences that we're meeting because, it's about connecting and being collaborative in the things that we're doing. So thank you so much for sharing. I encourage everybody to come out, support this, and just begin the process of telling our own stories. And this is educational. This is creative. This is all the things that we need to do to be successful and to uplift our community and our people and our children, and the children may gravitate towards this kind of learning. They're all over social media. Some of them can teach us something, So I know I was saying something about editing, and my grandson, who at the time was 13, he was like, "Well, Grandma, what about CapCut?" So I'm just saying, and it's kind of like they know how to do it, but they can't necessarily tell you, but they can do it. So we need.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I am as
Please.
well. So thank you so much. This is Harlem Network News, and we just invite you to really support us, subscribe to us, make donations. If you have stories, breaking news, or cultural or otherwise, please let us know so we can get that out there. We're Harlem Network News at gmail.com. You can email us. You can call us directly at 646-261-5397 or go to harlemnetwork.org. And we're all over social. As the young people say, we outside. So thank you. All right. Okay, Melvin. So I'm looking forward to the event. And
take care. Thanks for having me.
Backward never. So goes Harlem, quote, so goes the world. So thank you so much.